Today's episode of Nerd Soup is sponsored by Audible. Right now, you can visit audible.com/nerdsoup or text nerdsoup to 500-500 to start listening with a 30-day Audible trial. Plus, you will receive one audiobook and unlimited Audible original monthly downloads absolutely free. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Beau Oliver, joined today by Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back to review Season 2 of The Boys, Episode 4, Nothing Like It in the World.
Butcher? What happened?
My wife. She's alive. Vault's holding the captive somewhere. And right now, we're in a little bit of trouble. Are you fucking with us?
I feel like this episode was a little bit of a, a step back and kind of get back into some of these characters and what their motivations and what they're going to be like for the rest of the season after that big climactic ending of episode 3. It was kind of like almost like a reassessment of where we are at this point, and it's going to basically set up the rest of the way.
Right, and I guess this isn't our spoiler discussion, but we do talk about spoilers on these reviews, and I think we should just go to the revelation at the end, that Stormfront is this hero Liberty from the 70s, and how this just puts a whole spin on the identity of her character.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see a lot of tension between Homelander and Stormfront in this episode, and that dynamic has become even more fascinating, because she has that scene when they're confronting each other where she tells him, "I admire you. I just think that you need to rebrand your image. You need to connect to your true audience." And she makes such a great point about you don't need 50 million people. You just need 5 million pissed off people with Twitter.
Yeah.
You just need your army, your online army.
And like you said, we did learn that she was Liberty in the 70s, and apparently maybe she just doesn't age, and it's kind of...
it's interesting. New spin on what Compound V can do.
Yeah.
Even Starlight says anything's possible.
And we talked about at the end of last episode how she said that slur to Kimiko's brother, and again, we see her in another racially motivated attack. And
right. She is literally a person out of time. They always talk about ideas that come from the 60s or 50s. She is a person that comes from the 50s and 60s. And you can see how she's trying to spin her new image, being against Vought, being anti-establishment.
Yeah.
But we know the true history now, as do the boys.
It's kind of interesting with Homelander and Stormfront, where Homelander is very much his perception, like how Vought wants to market him, very conservative, tradition, Christian values, and where Stormfront is more, I guess, kind of this new age anti-establishment. But as we know, and the boys found out, that's all a front, or maybe it's not a front and she does believe these things, but there is a dark side that she is not showing to the public.
Yeah, and with Homelander, I think she does value the brand that he does have. And she says in episode 3, when they go on to try and capture the terrorist, "Oh, fuck Vought. I guess that's the new game plan," and she's really running with that. So if she can get Homelander on her side and I guess run sort of a coup from the inside, because she values that image. And Homelander talked about that with Stan Edgar. "I am the face of the company." And Stormfront is saying, yes, but you need to find a new way to wield your influence.
He's such a child, man. When he's going through all the memes and tired.
Right, yeah, I wanted to bring that up. That's so funny.
And he's like... Even when he's like the bully in the schoolyard, where if you make fun of him for like being stupid or whatever, they're just gonna beat you up.
He's just gonna punch you.
Yeah, and that's
if
what
you can show him that you have skills in another area. If you're smarter or more talented at a game,
so it's
just punch you in the throat.
So when Stormfront's checking him, he just goes right to the laser eyes.
Right to the laser eyes. Yeah, and I was almost disappointed in that he wasn't as witty or clever in this scene. It was kind of like a mini tantrum, saying, "Hey, you're trying to steal my stuff. Give me back my toys." It's ridiculous. And we also see the moment with Homelander and Madeline Stillwell. At first, I thought this was going to be some sort of clone that he concocted, but it's the hero doppelganger from last season. And we talk about this often, actually, off camera. Would you would you bang doppelganger if it's Elizabeth Shue? For me, Melisandre in Game of Thrones, you take the risk. Does the necklace pop off?
It was nice to see her back as that character.
Yeah.
And
you could tell that something was off, but yeah, definitely. She's terrific.
I don't know if it was like a dream sequence or a clone or whatever, but it is doppelganger. And it's kind of like his own therapeutic weird, I don't know. It's like, because he has that scene at the end where it is like, in a way, therapeutic, like he's killing his old self of worrying about being liked, and it's kind of embracing what Stormfront tried to instill in him.
Anthony Starr trying to turn on Anthony Starr was hilarious.
He was into it for a while. It's like, all right, maybe.
So would you bang me?
Yeah, you got to feed your narcissism
You are
somehow.
me.
But that's kind of scary. Like, we've seen like what Homelander can do when he's almost like on a leash. Now that he's unhinged and he's kind of like, yeah, who gives a fuck what people care about me? Maybe I should just get my 5 million soldiers. There's no telling what he's going to be capable of going forward.
Even with that interview with Maeve, where he ousts her as a lesbian without her permission, that he just knows how to be mean in such an impactful way. He just knows what button to push to piss somebody off, and that's such a personal thing. When just revealing that to the entire public, especially when you're someone like Queen Maeve with the giant following like a Homelander, her decision to come out was taken from her by this character. And
it's just him taking control.
Exactly.
You see it with the scene with A-Train. He just takes away his spot in a 7. Just like no big deal.
And when he gets questioned about Heroes So White, his answer was...
Well, his face, too.
Yeah, he was just simmering underneath that. He hates that. The way that they poke him back, like when Becca says, oh, Mondays are for Spanish, and that really pisses him off. But his answer about Black Noir is so ridiculous. We have A-Train, we have Black Noir, and what's his way of clapping back about that? It's hurting Maeve. It's hurting someone he deemed his closest partner on this team. He just doesn't care, man. He's a true bully through and through.
Maria Menounos, the hardballs. I like it.
She went James Franco in the interview when he just started throwing the heaters at Kim Jong-un. Yeah, Homelander could handle it a bit better. Well, it just shows, once again, there's the wit of Homelander, that he was able to kind of twist that situation in his favor. Yeah, and we also have the boys, and they're dealing with the aftermath. Especially Kimiko is obviously struggling with the brutal death of her brother, and she even makes the play to go to Vought Square, where Stormfront is holding this rally. And she almost fights her until Frenchie pulls her back. And Frenchie in this episode too, he's not doing so well. He begins the episode, he's high on coke, he's doing lines, he's visiting his old girlfriend, making moves on Kimiko. He's a character that's kind of lost in this episode. And where Huey was lost in the first 3, now it's kind of shifted to Frenchie and Kimiko, and that was sad to see.
Yeah, it's definitely like he's not in a great spot right now. I feel like he feels like, I don't know, maybe he failed Kimiko, and obviously that's not the time to make a move when someone's grieving their dead brother.
Yeah.
And
that's the one person that she's probably felt the most connected to. This is just a friend, not necessarily a romantic partner. So, and Frenchie, he is very delicate and he's sweet, but he just makes the wrong move there.
Well, yeah, he says it later that he's just trying to comfort her, and she responds like, "Were you trying to comfort her or yourself?" It's
right?
Like,
yeah, Cherie, his ex.
Yeah. So
she's a true ride or die. It's like, you smell like wet dog. Get in here, buddy.
And they do share that moment where he stops her and she kind of looks at him like she would in the past. Like, they still have their relationship, but you could tell that she's simmering inside and she needs to get revenge on Stormfront.
And we see how the weight of the world is collapsing on a lot of these characters, with Starlight as well. She has that moment in the park where she breaks down when Huey gets the call from Mother's Milk, and you could see it's not just Huey. That even if you are a superhero with these powers, it could really weigh on you. And especially that confrontation that she has with Homelander. Once again, just him bullying her. And I think he just knows the truth, but he's keeping her around because it's fun for him. It's someone else to torture. But Huey and Starlight have a lot of nice moments in this episode. They get a chance to reconnect on this road trip to go and find Liberty with Mother's Milk. When they start singing, "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Yeah.
It really felt like he was a chaperone.
Yeah, it's a nice moment for them. Obviously, with all the chaos that's ensued over the first 4 episodes and even the first season, it's nice to see them have a time where they can just let loose and, just be together and have fun and kind of try for, even if it's just a weekend, have a normal relationship.
Yeah, and she talks about how that threat of Homelander she's not feeling the same cloud and shadow that she feels when she's in Seven Tower, that she can just feel free. And she even shares a nice moment with Mother's Milk when they're reminiscing on their past. And it's Mother's Milk who uses the past of his father battling Vought as a lawyer to convince this young woman, or who was once a young woman who saw Liberty commit this atrocious act, to open up to them.
It's nice to get some more insight on what his reasoning for being so dedicated to taking out Vought and against Soups. So it was nice to his own self-reflection too, where Huey says something about his father and he goes, well, he passed that down to me, and he's fearful that he might pass that down as well.
Right. Yeah, and once again, the revelation of Stormfront, it opens up the boys to another conspiracy that they're trying to crack. Season 1 was Compound V. Now Season 2 is the possibilities of Compound V. Maybe these people don't age. They don't age like normal people. And Stormfront, it looks like that she was, it's like the Catholic Church when they just moved them to another division. Just moved her to Portland. From North Carolina to Portland, brought her back out 20 years later, possibly. So what's the conspiracy here? I'm very interested in that. But Billy Butcher actually goes on his own way because he gets the information from Grace, and they share a nice moment together. Kind of a reconciliation where she gives him the information for where Becca is being hidden by Vought, and he reunites with Becca. And this was surprising, happening so early in the season. A lot of surprises like that in season 2, where things that you would expect to be climactic moments for a season are happening in episodes.
The funniest thing, though, is when their Black Noir is in, I guess, the
computer room?
Yeah. And they see Billy Butcher, and when he hops over the fence, he just gives a finger to the camera. I started dying when I saw that.
Well, with Black Noir, I was wondering if he knows that Homelander's not necessarily trying to catch Billy. That he's allowing Billy and these other individuals just roam around New York. And Black Noir's taking it into his own hands.
It does seem at times where... And it doesn't really bother me where I'm going to, like, criticize the show for it, but it's, like, they're just walking around in, like, the city. And
they're just in the mall.
Yeah, they're just at, like, obviously they're in a restaurant in North Carolina that has Vought News on, that are probably have their pictures up all the time, and I don't know, just little things
even
like
when
that.
the truck crashes, they're like, Starlight, you cannot save them. You cannot be a superhero here.
Yeah.
They're not really being very low-key. But the superheroes also wear their super suits all the time, so
yeah,
that's the boys.
But yeah, it was a nice moment to see them reunited after all these years, and it's something where I kind of got the sense where Billy might not be as open to embracing...
Superboy?
Yeah, Becca's son, and because we know...
Talk about that, Daddy's home.
And it's like even that, not even that he's a soup, and we know how Billy feels about him. You have the Vought angle where they're going to stop at nothing to get him back. And also it's, I don't know if he'll be able to look at Homelander's son every morning, you know? And from the get-go, I kind of got that. Where she says, it's like, what about Ryan? And it's like it's almost like Butcher forgot about him. It's like, oh yeah, he could just fly over, right? Or we could do this, or we'll make another plan.
Yeah, it's really about him and Becca.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to escape? And he makes a good point that Ryan is a piece of property, $1 billion piece of property. But Becca makes some interesting claims as well, saying that Butcher has been on this path of violence. I always wondered that about Butcher in season 1. Did this man really settle down and lived a family life with Becca? What the hell did they do? Apparently they smoked pot and ate Cheetos on the couch. But that's interesting. What happened before Homelander kidnapping Becca, raping her, and giving her a son? What was Butcher doing in his life? Because even when he tries to make up the news story about starting a security firm, she says, get the fuck out of here, you weren't doing that. And she leaves him behind. Doesn't leave him behind, but stays back and says, if we do this, you're still going to be on your violent rampage no matter what. And that was interesting. You wonder if she's just, at this point, she's just so invested in her son. She clearly loves this child. And Marissa made a great point on our last review that it's Vought trying to raise Superman the right way. They're really taking it from the comics.
It's always those moments that are kind of like the most impactful and emotional, where you could tell like they both love each other and they want to be together, but at this point in time and the circumstances surrounding everything, it's for the best.
Yeah, because at times it didn't feel like Billy, like you said, he wasn't really thinking about Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
He was thinking about saving Becca, but he didn't seem so turned off to the idea of raising a superhero the right way, because we've seen him free Kamiko's brother in this season. He's been trusting superheroes more often, so where does he go from this point? I guess he's still trying to defeat Homelander.
Yeah.
To make Becca feel like if we do escape, they can never get us.
And obviously there's a huge disconnect because it's not his son. He's never met the kid before. And Becca, raised this child for all these years they've been in this place. And it's like if it was his son, he wouldn't be thinking of it as, we're just going to be hunted down by Vought and it's going to be impactful to our livelihood. And he's thinking about it more in that sense, where if it was his son, there'd be more of, I'll stop at nothing to protect me and my family. I'll stop at nothing to protect me and Becca.
Right. And I was so thrown off throughout the episode by those interviews of the different women. Some of them I thought were funny, others weren't. The Ed Sheeran interview, that's the comedy that you get with the boys. Sometimes it's just not going to land because they go so far out there. But for the most part, I enjoyed it at the end when you realize what they were actually doing. They're just taking so many digs at Tom Cruise. We have to assign you your wife so you can rehabilitate your image. It's amazing. I mean, fuck Scientology, right? I mean, I love Mission Impossible, but goddamn, you join a cult, this is what happens. Weird shit. Poor Deep, man. He really wanted Gianna.
Yeah, it's a tough break. She seemed nice.
She seemed like a ride or die.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess
this cult just keeps getting more interesting for me.
I wonder what their end game is, because
it's to have one of your members in the 7, right?
But I don't know if that's obtainable.
No, I agree with you there, but they're going to present the Deep as someone who's, I guess, a new man. But that's the thing. They're also trying to market the way that they've combined kind of generations here with appealing to millennials, and you have the memes and the internet as well. But the Deep is trying to present himself as almost like more conservative, like what Homelander was last season, or the perception of Homelander. But I don't know. This cult, that woman keeps freaking me out every time I see her.
Does she blink?
I don't think she's blinked yet. Her eyes are just, that's her superpower. And it was sad near the end of the episode when Starlight tells Huey that they can't be together, that they can't continue to see each other in secrecy like this. And yeah, I mean, we've seen that before in movies and TV shows. We can't do this. We can't do this. So in 3 episodes, they'll probably be together. Once they reunite. Starlight? Huey?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to Becca and Butcher, right?
Yeah.
Where they want to be together, but it's just the circumstances and everything surrounding them and just the impending danger that would always be looming if they continued to see each other. So, and we talked about it too, where how exposing the Compound V last episode didn't really, like, Vought was able to quickly maneuver and switch the focus on now we need the super terrorist and how the heroes are kind of like our last line of defense, and it kind of got brushed over. So I think from the boys' perspective, from Huey and Starlight's perspective, trying to find that new angle to bring down Vought.
Yeah, and now Butcher is going to come back, and Frenchie and Kimiko, hopefully, they're in a better mental state, and they'll have this new information, and Butcher will presumably know where to go from here. He's the guy with the connects. Maybe they'll get in contact with Grace once again and let them know about this Liberty conspiracy.
I just want Kimiko to beat the shit out of Stormfront.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They need to, like, put Kimiko through training, you know, to work on her abilities. Because right now, she's got great potential. She's a Zion.
Yeah.
She needs a Phil Jackson to mold her. All right, that's The Boys, Season 2, Episode 4, Nothing Like It in the World review. Thank you guys for listening and watching. I hope you share and like and do all that good stuff. And, of course, you can watch us on our spoiler discussion video that will be dropping in a few days. So watch that, listen to it on our Buzzsprout link, and thank you once again for joining us. Aaron?
Been an honor.
Are you retiring? And check out the memorial video for Aaron.
I'm dying.
Oh, sorry, yeah. And before we go, we would like to thank our sponsor for this video, Audible. Audible is a terrific option for any avid listener of audiobooks, people who enjoy listening during their commutes to work or listening during their workouts at the gym. It's amazing how much time we sacrificed in the past before audiobooks, but now you can just listen wherever. As a longtime member of Audible, I've racked up dozens of free audiobook credits for each month of my membership, which has given me the opportunity to expand my own library. And Audible has an unmatched library of audiobooks. You can find anything from epic fantasies to epic histories, biographies, podcasts, theatrical performances, comedy shows, and of course, Audible originals, content made specifically for Audible members. I recently made the decision to re-listen to Dune after seeing all the hype for the movie adaptation. It's amazing how much you can forget about a story when you're done listening to it, and Dune is certainly a fantasy epic classic that warrants a second listen. So I would recommend Dune to all of our viewers because I know a lot of you guys are fans of Star Wars, Game of Thrones, of course, Lord of the Rings, and this is like a combination of all those in a sci-fi fantasy epic. And don't forget, you can start listening to a 30-day Audible trial and receive 1 audiobook and unlimited Audible original monthly downloads absolutely free if you visit audible.com/nerdsoup or text nerdsoup to 500-500.